Up next in here then, we've got an experienced marketing strategist and community developer, someone who's working with corporations and startups from across the globe. Definitely someone to be paying attention to them. And they're here today to share some of their specialism in community engagement. Please would you give a warm welcome to Elinor Cohen.
Thank you. Okay. So, hi everyone. Got to keep an eye on the timer here. Hopefully I'll be able to deliver, other than my totally different, maybe funny accent, a little bit of a fresh view on things, because I'm not going to be talking about percentages. I'm not going to be talking about tools. So I am a community manager. That's my DNA. I've been doing that since I was a little kid. Not as a job, obviously, but as a job for over a decade, as a career, not a job. And while I do not work currently with any e-commerce clients, sorry about that, I do have experience with e-commerce from very different perspectives and aspects. So some of it is business to business in the tech and startup industries. Some of it is business directly to consumer, so we're talking jewelry, tourism, all of the industries that, well, a lot of industries that you can think of, but also, and this is important for me to mention, crowdfunding campaigns. And the reason I'm saying that is because everybody who's ever participated or ran a crowdfunding campaign knows that this is e-commerce. People do go into a website and they will purchase something. They will donate, but their money, their contribution is going towards donation, but it is an e-commerce experience. And you are limited because you are doing it on a platform of someone else. So you cannot control the tools and the UX and the experience and even the SEO, at least not in full. And yet you still have to convert, and you still have to retain, and you still have to engage. So my basic assumptions for my talk today is that when it comes to tools and optimization, you all have your websites fully optimized, you have the right tools in place, you're using them correctly, you're well-versed on your SEO, you're using the AI, the plugins, everything. But what you want to do is you want, obviously, to increase your sales, so bring in new customers. And of course, you want to engage and retain existing customers, because what you want to do is you want to resale and you want to upsell. So those are my assumptions, and this is the premise of my talk today. And with that in mind, let's start with what exactly are communities, because I will be talking about communities a lot. I will be saying this word a lot. And it's not just a name, or it's not just a word. So our marketing, everybody keeps talking about it. We've already heard about this even today. And I'm sure that at the technical track they are droning on about it. Everything changes daily. So we can wake up today and there's a new tool, there's a new plugin, there's a new AI, there's a new whatever, and you must be on top of it because, you know, FOMO, especially if we are marketing people or business people. And yet, marketing people and business owners still talk in terms of what I call, quote unquote, the old world. So they talk about personas, they talk about audiences. When you build your website, when you tailor your e-commerce experience, you do this for an audience, usually. And that is where traditional marketing falls a little bit short for me, in my experience. Okay? And it's not just semantics. I will keep mentioning that. It's not just semantics. Your customer, whatever you sell, whether it's a software as a service, whether it's a product, whether it's another service, whether you are a reseller of somebody else, of something else, and whether you sell directly to consumers or to businesses, the end purchaser, the person who clicks the button, who makes the purchase, who makes the payment, is a human being. And he's not just he or she, they are not just a persona. And they are not an audience. Let's take a little bit a little trip down memory lane. I'm an early 70s child, so I still remember black and white TVs, and I don't know how many people sitting in this auditorium remember those, but the reason I'm showing you this is deliberate, because traditional marketing and advertising, okay, even though marketing people will always tell you, and I'm one of those people, that marketing and advertising are two separate things, but traditionally, marketing and advertising were one and the same, with a top-down approach where you craft a message and you broadcast it, and hence the TV. Okay, so that's how we started way back when. You broadcast it to an audience. You measure reach and frequency. So how many times was my message shown? How many people saw my message? How many times was it displayed? And the communication was one way, from the advertiser or the marketer to that audience. They could not engage back. And while this is a great approach for advertising, and it's still being done today, because when you think about ads, if you run Google ads, if you run Facebook ads, Meta, sorry, I'm old. You still craft a message and broadcast it. So the chances of engaging back with you are very minimal, even if the tools are there. People will not necessarily do that. And the working premise of this approach is product or service centered, product or service focused, okay? So I'm thinking about what I'm selling, and I'm trying to sell it or market it to you, to my audience. But if we keep doing that, we're missing a lot. And I will tell you, time permitting, a few stories, real-world stories, that will actually exemplify that. So your audience is passive, and this, unfortunately, has not changed. So we do have the new tools, like I said, every single day, 10 new tools, and the approach, the mindset, has not changed. So while we do measure a little bit more than just frequency and reach, we measure clicks, conversions, actual sales, of course, the approach hasn't changed. Anybody knows this guy? Yes? I heard a yes. Yes, Seth Godin, right. One of my favorite people. You're going to see him again later. So when I talk about communities, okay, I talk about the idea that Seth refers to as tribes, and I'm saying communities are actually replacing audiences. Again, for me, take it or leave it. I'm here to tell you my side of things, my story. Take it or leave it. But a tribe, according to Seth, is a group of people who are connected to one another, to a leader, and to an idea. And this is important, the one another and the leader, because a random group of people, for example, right now, the people sitting here in this auditorium are a group of people. You may know each other, you may work with each other in some capacity, you may have met before in other events, you may meet again in the future, but you are a group of people. There is nothing other than your shared interest at this time that actually makes you a community. What makes you a real community, a real Magento community in this case, would be everything that goes on beyond this auditorium. So if a group of people happens to be in one place, employees of the same company, a group on Facebook, again, I will say Facebook, bear with me. They're not necessarily a community. They have to be connected to one another, but also to a leader, and they have to be connected to an idea. And an idea is also not always enough. So it's not just the idea of something, it's a little bit deeper than that. Okay? They share values, they share things that they care about. And it may seem so strange to talk about this at an e-commerce conference, because normally when we think of e-commerce, it's I go into an online shop because I'm looking for something, I find a product, the price is right, the experience is great, click, check out, if Sakina has done her job well, and the checkout process is seamless, click, bought, bye-bye. But what will make me buy again? What will make me come back? Not necessarily the products. Keep that in mind. Not necessarily the products, not necessarily the price. So what I'm talking about is community-based marketing. And that is basically still looking at larger quote-unquote audiences. I will use the word audience now, but with a more human-centered approach rather than a product or service approach. If I'm still looking to define that audience according to the accepted parameters, like when we build a persona, age, gender, geographic location. This is Anna, she's 42, she's interested in, these are her favorite flavors of ice cream. And by the way, that's a real persona from an ice cream shop that somebody who runs an ice cream shop in my town had a company create for him. And he actually sells the Anna ice cream. And surprise, surprise, most people don't buy it. They buy other ice creams. But if I'm still doing that, if I'm still defining my audience in these terms, thinking about them in these terms, then I still get the same result, like with the TV days, of a passive group that I broadcast to and that do not engage back with me. Unless there is something else that I can attract them with other than my product, service, or pricing, or all of the above. So community-based marketing, unlike the traditional one, is a bottom-up approach. You first listen to build your community, and then you listen to them. So you listen to build it, and then you listen to what they have to say. You craft your message according to what you just heard from them, and then you respond and engage with them. The metric that you will be measuring, in addition to the standard one, so nobody's telling you not to measure clicks, conversions, leads, by all means, you need to. But in addition, you will be measuring engagement. You will be measuring not just brand authority in the standard number that we usually assign to it, you will be measuring it in terms of engagement. And here I want to throw the word loyalty into place because, again, Sakina mentioned transparency, loyalty, trust. That's the way to gain it. That's the way to build it. Your communication is then not one way. You do not broadcast. It's minimum two-way, so you broadcast, but they engage and you respond back. Ideally, it's multiple way. Remember, they will be connected to each other, to you as a leader, and to an idea, or values, or interest. So ideally, it's a multiple-way communication. And your community is therefore active. And just so you don't say I'm babbling on, I'll try to give an example of what the difference is, okay? So let's take an example of an online art supply shop, my personal favorite, because I like to paint, so I do need supplies, and I do get them online. With traditional marketing, what we do is we define our audience, right? So we sell to artists. Who needs art supplies? Artists. We compete with others at other art supply shops who basically sell the same things. And our customers are buying from us because our price is better and convenience, our UX is better. Our website looks nicer. I don't know why, but they're buying from us. That's good enough for us. Hooray. Let's check what we can improve in our website if we want more customers. But our customers will inevitably buy from others if the price is better or if the experience is more convenient. They will not be buying from us. They will not be loyal. Whereas if we take the community-based marketing approach, then we realize that we don't just sell art supplies. We sell art as a concept. We sell beauty. We sell not just to artists, whatever level they may be. We sell to hobbyists. We sell to craft lovers. We sell to teachers. We sell to parents. We sell to anyone who wants beauty in their life. Because if you have ever gone into an online art supply shop, they do not sell just art supplies. They all have also, for example, paint by numbers. It's very popular now and people are buying it because as part of interior design, because they like the picture, so they buy it, they paint by numbers, and then they hang it on their wall. So we realize that we sell not just to artists. And we compete with other art supply shops, yes, of course, but we also compete with art supply creators, including small handmade, homemade boutiques. In my world, watercolor painting, there are amazing, amazing little companies that make handmade watercolors in traditional ways, and they're super expensive. So obviously, if I need art supplies now, I will not necessarily go to their boutique shop because they only sell that. I will go to my favorite shop because I need to fill the cart with a lot of things. So but that shop also competes with them. Conceptually, they also compete with them. And our customers are buying from us not just because of the price and convenience, but because we deliver something more. We validate their values. We validate the fact that they like art and beauty and color and paints and hobbies and whatever it may be. So they will likely even pay more for our products or wait longer for them to arrive because we sell more than just supplies. Essentially, what I'm saying is that we need to go from a passive audience or persona marketing to an active, engaged community. And told you, you'll see him again. Why do we even want this? Why do we even need this? I mean, if we have a good e-commerce shop and we sell and we make money, why can we not just leave it at that and maybe improve or upgrade our tools and our AI and our tech? Because, as Seth says, and he is right, selling to people who actually want to hear from you is more effective than interrupting strangers who don't. He calls that permission marketing. Community-based marketing is effectively, essentially, permission marketing. Okay? You will be creating a unified message that speaks to different audiences, and you need to bear in mind that not all your customers are the same. You will be on target, you will be answering real needs, and if you answer real needs, they will buy because they need something. But you will also foster customer advocacy because what you will be then getting is free marketing, free brand ambassadors, and growth. And it works. So I'm going to I do want to tell you how to build a community. You need 3 things. Actually, there's a full methodology that I'm not going to go into today because of the time. You feel free to find me, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to share. No secrets. But what I do want to do is I want to get to a little bit of a story time. So 2 shops and an unavailable product. The customer goes on the online shop, fills up the cart, chooses their products. One of the products is not available. Shop A handles it this way. Shop A handles it by simply sending the package with the missing product, automatically issuing a refund, so they were good at that. That's a real case, by the way. And they have a great website. They have all the tech and the great UX, and they're well known, by the way. But they don't have a real community. So what happens next is that the customer, when the next time the customer wants something, similar items, they will go to another shop, even preferably a physical one, and not buy from that shop again. And mind you, that's a huge known brand. Keep that in mind. The other shop, same scenario, but the shop calls the customer, not just to say, listen, we don't have that product that you want and we're going to issue a refund, but they actually spend time. They ask a very, very important question. They ask the customer, why do you want this product? What were you planning to do with it? What's your use for it? And once they understand, they actually offer alternatives that fit the customer needs. Remember? Needs, real needs. And the customer ends up choosing a replacement product, an alternative product actually, not replacement, that is cheaper, so gets a refund as well. But that customer keeps going back to that shop again and again and again. Any guesses as to that big brand shop, what it is, who it is? Anyone can venture a guess? That's IKEA. And they're terrible. And that is my art shop. I have 1 minute and 20 seconds, under 20 seconds left, and I really, really did want to go through a couple more case studies. So I'll run through one very fast, and that is a startup company in the VR field that was pre-selling super, super expensive cameras that were not yet on the market. Online. One of the worst websites I've seen and dealt with, one of the worst websites in terms of UX, in terms of SEO, in terms of checkout experience, everything. And people actually bought, especially VR enthusiasts and photographers, they bought, they purchased, they risked their money. And lo and behold, we had delays, like huge major delays in the production. What we did was we issued an email with a full, transparent, that's an actual client of mine, past client of mine. We issued an email with a full, transparent explanation going into the technicalities of what the delay in production is and what happened, where the production is happening, where in the supply chain link, which link broke, where do we have the problem, 0 cancels, and not just that. They actually went online and started defending us because we got some really bad PR, and people were fighting all over social media to defend us. They didn't get their product yet. Their money was God knows where, out in the world, but they didn't get the product yet, and yet they were defending us, and 0 cancels. So that is for me, it was a teachable moment of being transparent in the language you use and how you handle your customers. And there is another case study for the same company, but for that you'll have to find me, and I'll happy to tell you how they went to CES, spent almost no money, and their community actually did the work for them with triple number of leads and record number of booth visits, and it's all because they treated their online shoppers as an actual community. And the company, by the way, does not exist anymore. Product does not exist. The community is still alive. Several thousand people still engaging with each other on Facebook. So, just to wrap it up, because it's 0, the key takeaways. What I'm advocating for is to shift your mindset a little bit. So again, the tools, the AI, the UX, the websites, do all that. It's important. It's super, super, super important. But shift your mindset from product-centered to human-centered. Remember the human being that actually goes on your shop and purchases. Shifting that mindset from audience to community, from product to human, will foster engagement, which inevitably leads to loyalty and retention. And loyal and engaged communities help you grow. They help you grow your business because they will recommend you, and they will bring friends, they will bring new customers, fresh customers, but they will also repurchase, and you can also upsell to them, again, depending on what you sell. So, I skipped the case study, but that's what I had to say. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or find me here, and I'm happy to share more. I've got tons of stories to tell, and I'm happy to share my methodology for building communities if it's interesting for anyone. And that's it.